Hi, it's Margaret again, your resident thanatologist, specializing in all things death, dying, and grief related. I'm also a licensed professional counselor in Colorado and a somatic experiencing practitioner. And I'm going to talk to you. I'm here actually to talk about all things death and grief related. So get cozy because today we're going to talk about grief, milestones, and grief during the holidays. And this can holidays are a time that really can bring up our grief as well as grief milestones. And these often intensify grief and make it a bit more uncomfortable. And it can be really scary when we know the holidays are coming up or a grief milestone is coming up. So, some ways to cope during the holidays. Let people know you're grieving. Let people know you're missing your loved one. Let people know that this is a hard time for you. Don't take it personal if people then kind of push away, because sadly, we live in a society that does not handle grief well. We often try to smooth over it. I'm having a really hard day. I'm really missing my dad today. Oh, do you want some more apple pie? Oh my gosh, have you watched the latest episode or heard this podcast? That is not a you thing. That is the other person telling you that they don't have the resources you need. I often think of, right, if I ask you for a cup of sugar and you don't have a cup of sugar, you don't have a cup of sugar. So when somebody says, I can't handle your grief, that's them telling you they don't have the sugar that you need. And so then you get to find those other people that can be okay, can be present. And even we have friends that are like, I really don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm really uncomfortable. Can I give you a hug? Can I sit with you? Can we, here, I've made you some food. Do you want to go for a walk? That is the person saying, I don't have sugar. I have some honey. I've got some agave. Will that work? And you get to decide if that works for you. So, one of my favorite things to do, especially during the holidays, or if it's a grief anniversary or a birthday, I like to make them a plate at the table, especially early on in grief, when grief is just so palatable. It is there, it is not leaving us. So, on your holiday meal, make them a plate, or maybe you make their favorite recipes, or a recipe that reminds you of them, bringing them in the room because grief is already in the room with you. So, along these lines, like, how are you celebrating them? Again, making their favorite foods. Maybe you're engaging in an activity that reminds them of you or that you enjoy doing with them. Like, I know my dad loved the Macy's holiday parade, the Macy's Thanksgiving parade here in the States. And so I still, every year, I turn it on in the morning. This is part of my grieving process. This is my way of still, remember that continuing bonds? This is my way of still connecting with my dad. My grandma was known for her pecan pie. So I will make that recipe, right? These things, and even have fun. Like, my mom used to make aniseed cookies, really hard to make. And so I've tried, and they haven't turned out good, and yet I've still connected with her. I've still had this memory with my loved ones, a way to connect with the living and the deceased. So, again, when milestones come up, such as birthdays, death anniversaries, major life events, graduations, you got the job promotion, you're moving, let people know that you're grieving, you're missing your loved one, that you're struggling in your grief journey. I encourage people to, especially on those really potent milestones, the one that you feel like your heart is breaking all over again, take the day off from work. And again, let people know I'm grieving. Today is a really hard day for me. Then go for a hike, go for a walk, get in nature. Nature is so cathartic, so grounding. Then, are you eating their favorite foods? Watching their favorite shows or movies, or ones that remind you of them? Listening to their favorite music, or music that reminds you, or shared music. Maybe you love to go to concerts together, and so you're listening to some of that music. You can do something that they enjoy doing or that you enjoy doing with them. you can also just take care of yourself. If it is just too big, if it is too much, and even doing these things feels too heavy, too big, then you get to take care of yourself. You get to be gentle with yourself. You get to do what you need. Resting, relaxing, cleaning the garage. Remember, taking care of yourself, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, that's where you are. You get to do that. Also, you can create new traditions after your loss. Like I said, baking recipes, watching, reading, listening, doing all these things. You get to say, you know what? This is this death anniversary. This is when my whole life changed due to this on this day. And so now I take this day to do these things. I have worked with people that have survived mass shootings, and a lot of them on the day of the shooting, they will either go to the site or they will take that day and they will journal. They will think about where they were and where they are now. A lot of them will also honor the loss of their friends, family members. And so, even that, like, wow, this is what I've had since that day. Yes, I lost all of this, and this is how I have made meaning of my life. Remember that stage in our grieving process. How are we making meaning of our life and the loss? So thank you so much for watching, listening. Remember, grief and loss, death is part of the human experience. It's part of life. So take care of yourself and meet yourself where you are. If you have any thoughts, questions, would like to share your own experience, I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you handle your grief milestones, your holidays? I would love to hear. I think other people would love to hear. That's how we get ideas. And we say, oh, I really want to try that idea. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And for more conversations on death, dying, and grief, take care of yourselves. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and continue to explore the depths with me. Because coming up in December, I've got a lot. We've got traumatic loss and grief, pet loss, collective grief, and death positivity and acceptance. So, thanks.